Hello, welcome back to Chats con Sabor Season 3.
Tres.
My name is Yvette. I am one of your hosts, and I'm here with my co-host, Joanna.
Hello.
And we are going to be talking today about careers and education. More specifically about women in careers and education. And of course, doing a deep dive on Hispanic women in careers and education. So let's get right into it. The stresses on Hispanic women, Latinas, by their families to be successful. Let's start with that.
That's a doozy.
Jumping into the deep end again.
Boy, we just nose dive into these questions. So, do you want me to start off first?
Sí, por favor.
Okay. Órale, pues. So, education was not a big thing in my household. I think it's because my parents didn't have much of an education, so they grew up working almost all their lives. So it wasn't a priority for them. I feel as though getting married and having a family was more of a focus. They were super old school in that aspect. I mean, they were together at super young age. So education was not something that they really promoted. If you did it, okay. If you didn't, okay, type of thing. So,
Gotcha. For me, same thing where it wasn't really promoted except with my mom. She was one of the few that actually went to college and had a career. She graduated high school early and was already taking college courses in high school, which now equates to AP courses, right? Or not AP, but what are they called?
yeah, there are AP classes.
Yeah, but I think they're called something else too. Dual something courses. Oh shit. Anyway, I forgot. I don't have kids in high school anymore.
You guys can let us know what they're called.
Yeah.
It's been years for me too, so.
Yeah, meaning they're getting credit for their college courses already too. So that's what my mom did way back when, and graduated early, a year early. By the time she got to college, she was ready to go into the nursing program and stuff. So, I mean, that's how far advanced she was. But I wouldn't say that it was really stressed upon. From her, it was kind of like an expectation, but it wasn't something that was by my whole entire family, my grandparents and everybody. It wasn't something that was really pushed per se. So when I got out of high school, I went to one semester at the university and I hated it. I didn't like the big classroom, style and being with a bunch of people and, not having that one-on-one. I was used to that one-on-one attention, with my high school teachers. And I did not do any advanced placement or dual
You
enrollment.
had a small class too, didn't you?
That's what it was called, dual enrollment. Well, you're thinking about when I was in Louisiana, and we did have a small class. No, when I came back to graduate, that was the second semester of my junior year. I was in Louisiana. Then I came back during the summer and graduated in Texas with my class. Actually, went back to my old high school and graduated with my class. I went to the university in my hometown, and I did not like it. So then I told my mom, I don't want to go to school like regular, college, university. Then I actually signed up to take the ASVAB because I was going to join the Air Force. And then I found out I was pregnant when I was
Same thing happened to me
19.
for the Army.
I couldn't go to boot camp.
Kids.
I know. So when I decided to go back, it was after I had my second child, my first daughter. My ex-husband and I moved back to my hometown so that he could do recruiting out there for the Marine Corps. And that's when I decided to go back to school. Well, I was married. Well, I had 2 kids.
When the going was hard.
Exactly.
She's like, I want a challenge.
As if being a mom of 2 kids, 2 small children, wasn't a challenge enough. Anyway, that's when I started my college journeys. And I honestly, and I don't know how you feel about this, if you pushed your kids to go to college right after high school, but I actually never did. Like, so how do you feel about pushing your kids into one direction or the other?
Well, I didn't really push my kids. Like, my oldest son is he's super brilliant. He's really, really smart. But I knew college wasn't for him. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to be like his uncles, his grandfather and stuff, and go to the military. So we went through every single branch. And then finally, when the Air Force came, when the Marines came, he came in his blues. I was like, you look adorable, but you're not taking my son. I'm like, I still have to sign those papers. He is not going. So when we went through the Navy, Army,
so cute, but no.
National Guard, nope. And the Air Force came, and then the Air Force said, his classes will be credits for college and all that stuff. And I was like,
you're like, this is the one.
This is the one. So when he got into the Air Force, he started getting his credits and stuff. He got work. Now he's working towards his master's, I believe.
Nice.
So he's like he's a little too smart for his britches. And then my youngest one went to vocational school too. At first it was like he was super smart in computers. Like, he was coding in high school and everything. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, I want to go and I want to learn how to fix cars and stuff like that. So he went and took a couple courses there. And then he's like, no, I want to work on computers. So he started like working on his certification for Google and stuff like that. But school was definitely not. And he told me, he's like, I don't want to go to college. College is not my thing. He's like, I want to work on something that I can work on and my brain is going to be constantly going. So I was like, honey, you do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you need your education somehow. Vocational school, university. I'm like, you think about it and you go when you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that was those two. I mean, I'm proud of them, because they got a lot further than what I did in college. So
yeah.
And I went to Job Corps to do business administration, and then I got out of that because obviously I had a small child too, and I was like, I couldn't be away from him. So finished that up, wrapped that up, and then came home and I was trying to figure out what it was I wanted to do. And then I wanted to go, I had this thing to be a nurse because I love to take care of people. And so then I met my husband, put a pause on college again. And then I got married, and then we had Sean, we had Christian, we got baseball, we have all this stuff. So I too decided to go back to school while I had two young boys.
And all kinds of shit going on. Yep.
It was so much fun.
Ay, Dios mío. That is so funny.
But, I did it. I graduated. I did my thing from a medical technician. And then I was like, I'm going for my nursing degree. So then I started my classes for nursing. And then life became lifing. And I just couldn't finish it. So
it gets to be too much sometimes, yeah, especially with a full-time job and stuff. When I went for my first degree, I was able to just go to school. I stayed home with the two kids for those 2 years. And then I started working, and then we moved back to California after his recruiting. So 8 years later is when I graduated with my bachelor's in 2009. And then 10 years after that is when I got my master's. So I didn't do it like all back to back to back. And when I went through my master's program, went back to school, I needed one more year. So I did that for my master's, and I only needed 11 courses, and I did it in a year. Yeah, I did it in a year. Every month was a new class. I did, that speed. I don't know what it's called. The words are still trying to find their way back, but they're not there. Anyway. So let's get back to the topic though. Do you know of people, or just in general, why Hispanic families, other ethnicities, maybe like the Indian culture, Middle Eastern, the Asian cultures, I mean, they're super smart, right? But I feel like their families push them to be whatever it is they're going to be, whatever they want them to be, doctors, lawyers. How do you feel about that? And do you know of anybody that has gone through the struggles and the pressures of their families pushing them into these careers?
I had a lot of friends like that. When I was in high school, they were really pushed into going to their parents' college and graduating and being an attorney or being anything that made buku dollars.
Right.
They wanted them to be.
Yeah.
So it was stressful on them. I mean, I saw some that became like drug addicts, and because of the pressure of school and trying to live up to what their parents expected of them. Yeah. And, you know, to me, it's good to support your children, but you also need to let them be them. Mm-hmm. You know, no matter which route they take, as long as they're good kids and they're providing for their families and they're doing the right thing, what doesn't matter?
Right.
You know, to be in a different tax bracket.
Yeah.
So
for me now, I think of course I went through the whole 3 degrees, and then right as soon as I graduated from my master's program, I ended up swearing off school. I was like, I'm never, because I went through it very fast, right? And I still can't find the freaking words up in my brain. Anyway, I know you guys are probably yelling it like, this is what it's called. I'm sorry, it's not here.
It's not registering.
It's not registering at all. It's like blank. Like, that's what's scary about this. It's just blank. It's just like,
It's just brain fog.
Talk about brain fog. Yeah, it's real. Menopause is real. Anyway, oh, Lord have mercy. I forgot what I was going to say.
Said you swore off.
Oh, yeah.
School.
I swore off school. And then the very next month, I graduated in May, right? I got my commencement, what is it called?
Look, I just did partial college.
Bro.
I didn't get to walk, so I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, commencement ceremonies, yeah, fine, but there's a word, and I can't find it. Shit.
She graduated, people.
Yeah, anyway, I graduated in May, and then by the middle of June, I was already in a boot camp at USC. I did a specialized program for school business management, and that was a year long, so I had to sworn off school. I threw myself into a very rigorous program. And don't ask me, and I was working full time, like throughout even my master's program and my bachelor's, I was working full time.
With that drive.
Girl, oh my God.
My ADHD doesn't allow it.
When I tell you that I get so super hyper focused on something, it's just my personality. That's what I do. And whatever it is, I throw everything, every fiber of my being into whatever it is. So yeah, anyway, but going back to, I did all of that. And then with my kids, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to force them. I'm not going to push them. I'm not going to have them stress out over all of this. For me now, it just matters that they're happy. Just that they're happy.
The only thing I wanted from my children was to graduate high school. I didn't ask for anything else. Mm-hmm. I mean, just being honest, I wanted them to graduate so at least they had their high school degree and then, or diploma, and then, make their life decision on what it is they want to be. Like, if it wasn't for my cousin talking to me about school and education and the things that I could do as a Hispanic woman, that's why I was going into the military. Mm-hmm. So I could travel, get my education, get as far away as possible from where I grew up. I wouldn't have that drive to better myself.
Yeah.
It took a strong, independent Hispanic woman to tell me, hey, there's so much more out there that you can do you don't have to settle for having babies, being in the kitchen all the time, taking care of your husband and all that stuff. You can do so much more. So that's what I did. Went, signed up, took my test, went for my physical. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
I was knocked up.
You're like, thanks.
I was like, no. But at the end of the day, you know, I had my gorgeous son, and, you know, it was rough, but it was great too. So I was knocked up in high school.
Uh-huh.
I had 3 credits that I needed to graduate, and I couldn't graduate because then I gave birth to him, and I was stuck because I had to take care of him, you know, for a little while, and then work. And then I went back and finished my 3 credits and graduated high school with my diploma. And to me, that was such an achievement because my parents didn't have that.
Yeah.
My sister got her. Our family is pretty crazy because we were like the black sheep of the family. Some people may disagree with that, but we were. Our cousins couldn't even come spend time at our house. So,
wow.
Because we were the bad kids, you know. My dad drank, my mom was my mom. She didn't drink, she didn't do anything. But my sister graduated. My sister went to a vocational school. She got certified. My brother went to school, did vocational also, certified. He has a great career right now. So does my sister. And, you know, I got certified, then went to school to be an MA, then I wish I would have finished my nursing degree, but it is what it is. I got my education. I have a great career. I can't complain. But the ones that they didn't think were going to thrive are the ones that thrive.
Yeah.
You know, and my mom is like, they're my kids. Lucky for her, we were hungry and we wanted to be better and do better.
Yeah.
You know, and have a better life. So she did the best she could. And we took the reins from there.
Oh, that's good.
I was a hot mess.
Yeah.
So was my brother.
I feel like a lot of us were, though, hot messes. I think, okay, I'm going to take that back. I was a controlled hot mess.
Is there such a thing?
I mean, I feel like there is, because I wasn't completely out of control. Did I get in trouble? Yeah, you know, here and there. But you talk to my mom, and I think she would agree that she came out of my teenage years pretty like unscathed. You know what I mean? And I ended up being a really healthy, normal adult, I feel, and a productive member of society. I never got caught up in drugs and all that stuff. I did hang out with a lot of bad people, though, which I can't even... There were several times where I probably was in danger, like real danger, but I came out of it okay. And my kids are great. They didn't turn out to be bad kids either because there was a cycle or whatever. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, yes, a lot of us we had challenges. We'll just say that. We had challenges.
Sure.
Had challenges, but I feel like me personally, I controlled my rebellion. I did do a lot of bad shit. I'm not gonna lie and say that I didn't. I just never got caught.
We didn't really get caught, but I think I would like doing the bad shit, but then I'd be like, I think of the consequences afterwards, and then I'd be like, yeah, it's time for me to go home.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of that way as an adult.
You are, because I'm like, just one more. And she's like, nope, I'm out. Like, I'll see you later. Like, I'll see you tomorrow. Text me when you get home. Bye. She's gone.
I'm out.
Yeah, she's out. When she's done, she's just done. And she's just like, I'm out. So yeah, she was that way still.
I guess it's been since I was a child. It's like, if I can avoid problems, issues, you know what they say, nothing good happens after 12 o'clock?
Yeah.
Facts.
It's
I'm out.
true.
I'm out by 10:10.
It's true. I didn't believe that when I was younger, but it is true. And I say that to my children all the time. I'm just like, oh, whenever there's accidents, whenever there's, people getting arrested, things happening, it's always past midnight. Always past midnight. And yeah, my mom used to say that all the time. Why do you need to be out until 1:00 in the morning when we were talking about
friends are...
Yeah, because my friends, especially when I was driving, no, I had to be home. When I started driving, I had to be home earlier than when I wasn't driving, which was weird, but I understand now as an adult. So, do you agree with universities needing to fill these gender and race quotas? What are they called? I want to say AAA, but it's not true. NCLA? Is that what it's called? NCLA? Oh, God. I want to say NWA.
We're failing this one. Did you see my eye twitch when she said that?
NAACP. That's what it's called. Oh, no. I don't know. Anyway.
We should have Googled this stuff before we got on here.
I know these things. I just can't find it for whatever reason in my brain right now. This is so weird. Anyway.
Guys, we're trying to be serious here.
We don't need to be serious. It's just...
I think...
This is a serious thing happening in my brain, though.
I think it's good and bad.
Yeah.
That's why I think. And I think it's good in a way for lower income families, for stuff like that. I would...
To have opportunities.
To have opportunities where they can't.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to... and if you earn a scholarship and whatever, you earn that shit, right?
That's different. Yeah.
That's different than someone coming from other countries and having all these benefits that people here in the United States have to compete for.
Yeah.
Because people from... And I'm not picking. I'm not trying to say anything bad. I'm just saying that a lot of the opportunities that we should have here in the U.S. Oh, wait. This might get a little bit political.
It's fine.
So a lot of the opportunities that should be left to the American people that live here in our country, I think, and this is coming from a Hispanic woman, should be for the people here in the United States, because you have a lot of foreigners coming in. Again, not that you did not earn what you earned, but you have more opportunities than the people that live here have.
Agreed.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And you can argue the point that a lot of Americans, they go out of the country to England, Italy. Italy has a really good, in Siena, they have a really good international program in case you're looking to go to school outside of the US. But more times than not, it's other people, foreigners, coming to the United States to come to school here, and I don't know why. I mean, is our education system really that much better than from any other parts of the world? I don't know. I mean, maybe not. Everybody has ChatGPT now.
Well, I feel like, too, they come here for, like, the big schools. Like, they come here for Harvard, Yale. And I just feel like they can get the same, just like when we go over there to go to their colleges and study art, study music, study, agriculture, history, engineering. The same education we're going for from here to there, we can have here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but some people like the experience. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying the opportunities are much better from people that are coming from outside of the country here than the people that are here that are actually working and doing what they need to do to go to an MIT, to go to a Yale, to go to a Harvard. And it's limited because unless you have a huge scholarship, you're not going to be able to go into these schools. Now, when they have to meet their quotas and their numbers, you have a better chance. To get in to get into one of those schools. So sometimes, it's an advantage, but sometimes it's also not fair. because you worked so hard to get to where you wanted to go.
Exactly. And then if you're not, and I'm just going to throw Hispanics out there, like if you're not Latina, if you're not a woman, so now you're a white male. Well, now you can't go for those 5 spots that they have open because they have to fill it with, God, that word is like right there. It'll find me, hopefully. Anyway, again, it's unfair, I feel. It's unfair. Not to say that Hispanic women, what are they called? Minorities. Thank you. Wow. The struggle is real, guys.
Blooper number 3.
Ah, Lord. So being a minority, there's advantages to being a minority, but also unfair advantages, I feel. Because if we're competing for the same spot, well, then let me compete. And not to say that these minorities don't deserve the opportunity. Yes, but is it fair that those 5 spots, and I'm just throwing out a number, those 5 spots are being held and all these other people have to get waitlisted because, sorry, buddy, you didn't make the cut. You have the grades, you have the extracurriculars, you have everything. You're just the wrong gender and the wrong race. I mean, is that not discrimination? I'm just throwing that out there. Just throwing it out there for a topic of conversation because, I don't know, there's a fine line. Now, obviously, minorities were not being afforded the opportunity before, and they're trying to make it inclusive. And I get all of that. I'm not against inclusivity, but when you kind of focus on that and then you in turn exclude another race or another gender, group, then
it's not fair.
It's not fair.
But it's also not fair when your parents have bought a library for a school.
True. And then you're only getting
name.
in because of that. Yeah. You have legacies that, you're going to this school because your family or a hospital. I get that. Nepotism is real. It's real. But all I'm saying is we have to find a better way. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not against inclusivity, but when it's excluding others, then it makes me...
all wanted to be treated equal, right?
Yeah.
So we should be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. At least in these situations, right? Mm-hmm. Now we're going into the workforce.
Oops.
Is an educated man seen differently from an educated woman in the workforce? And do you have any examples that you've encountered?
Yes. And hopefully I understood this correctly because my brain was like racing.
I can repeat it. Is an educated man seen differently from an educated woman in the workforce?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, no matter how much women try. Let me rephrase this. It's starting to even out. A lot of people disagree with this statement, but it's starting to even out. And what's happening now is that the women are starting to be above men. But the problem that is having there is the fact that women are acting more like men when they're up here. Mm-hmm. So,
elaborate with some examples on that, though. What you mean by that? I understand what you mean, but for our audience.
Let's just say there's a woman she's head of banking, financing, and it took her years and years and years to climb up that corporate ladder for her to be accepted at this point. Mm-hmm. So when the woman gets up here, she's brilliant. She knows how to handle everything. But then they kind of lose some judgment. I know that women that get up here sometimes look at men that are down here as nothing. So what men were giving women are now giving men. And I know it's happening because I have seen it. Can't discuss it, but I've seen it. That it's almost like I prefer working with men more than I prefer working with women.
So do I.
And the reason why is because men do not have an emotional drive. Men make executive decisions.
Logical decisions.
They are not based on emotions. With women, it's a little different because when a woman does something, there's always some type of emotion behind it. And you guys can say it's bullshit, but it's not bullshit. You could be as hard as a fucking rock, but because this one person did something to you, it's something that you're never going to forget. So you're going to make this one person's life a living hell because you have that power. So the roles have flipped, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. You know, I agree with you. I did witness it and I won't say where, but in one of my previous places of employment. I agree with the statement that you made that you prefer working with men. I do too. And I'm saying that as a leader, as a person who's been in charge of people, you know.
I am saying that as a person that doesn't want to be a leader.
Most of my bosses that have been men, we've had great relationships. I mean, fantastic relationships. At the company that I was with most recently, him and I were like, I felt like our rapport was more like brother and sister. That respect he had for me and the respect I had for him, and he was the CEO of the organization. So, I mean, we really had a great working relationship. We would have long conversations and he would give me a lot of advice. And yeah, my relationship with that boss was great. It was phenomenal. But in my work history, I have preferred my male bosses. Yeah. Or my male counterparts too. I agree though that men are usually, they're taken more serious, educated men. They're taken more serious than educated women in the workforce.
Yeah. Trust me, there's men that can be royal assholes and horrible to work with.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that now, in this day of age, it's flipped and it's very different. I mean, I've had some wonderful female bosses.
Yeah.
I just have worked with men for so long that I've developed such a thick skin that I have a hard time sometimes sympathizing and empathizing with people, because if you were doing what you're supposed to be doing, we wouldn't be in this situation. And that's how my brain goes, because that's what I was around.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I get that. I totally get it, because that's how I am too. I think I said it in I don't know if it was the last one, maybe last season, in an episode. I'm kind of like a hard ass at work. Like bullet points, and then I had to soften myself up a little bit because these females, they're just so damn emotional. And I'm like, just grow some thick skin. I'm not trying to be mean to you. I'm trying to give you constructive criticism on the work product, not on you. It's your work product. So, and if you want to take it personal, because I take that kind of stuff personal, I take ownership of my responsibilities and the work that I produce. So you want to take ownership, well then good, take the constructive criticism and implement changes to better yourself, to improve. I'm not going to sit there and baby you, like, you know, and I don't know, maybe I'm like a guy in that sense, but maybe that's why I get along better with male bosses, because I'm used to giving, you know, this is exactly A, B, C, D, and we've got to do X, Y, Z. This is the plan. Here's the problem. Here's the solution. If you ever want to go and talk to your boss about anything, make sure you're not just going in there to complain. Present the problem, come up with a solution, and then either A, they will say, okay, run with it, or B, they'll say, okay, that and do this as well. And they're going to give you the guidance. So, and if you absolutely don't know what you know, try first to solve the problem yourself, and then go to them and say, listen, I've tried all these things. Now I'm coming to you because I'm at my wit's end and I don't know what to do. Help. And they will. But if you just go in there to complain, oh, Lord have mercy. Yeah. I can't with people like that. We're there to get a job done. You know what I mean? We're not there to socialize and be friends, and I'm not here to be your therapist. So, yeah, anyway. Sounds a little mean and harsh, I know.
Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. What do you think about being a stay-at-home mom versus a career woman, and how society kind of pushes us into one or the other?
I think it's harsh in a way, because there's women that do have, some are stay-at-home moms that have law degrees, that have business degrees, that have, and they're home, and more power to them. This is what they can do because their family's doing well or whatever. Their husband's working 100 hours a week to make sure that they live perfectly. I think back in the day, it just cornered. You have to pick one or the other. Now you can have both. Now you can be a working mom, have a great career, and do all that. Where I think it was more limited back before, because it wasn't such a drive for women to be at home. They wanted to be out. They wanted to have careers. They wanted to, thrive. I would have loved to be a stay-at-home mom.
I did it for a while. I mentioned when I was going to school, when I had my 2 kids, I stayed home for a little bit while I went to school. It was just 2 years, but still, it was 2 years that I stayed home with my second child, right? And obviously my first child reaped the benefits of that as well.
2 critical years, because that's when they remember you.
Yeah. Well, my son was 4 when my daughter was born. And then I stayed home for 2 years. So by the time he went into first grade is when I started. Actually, he was going into second grade when I started working. So yeah. But then when my third child was born, which was, I was 31. So that was 7 years after the second child, 11 years after the first child. I stayed home with them, all 3 of them, for 7.5 years, almost 8 years. Anyway,
I'm pro both. Do what you want.
Yeah.
If you have the means to be at home with your kids and nurture them for a good 2 or 3 years, do it. Mm-hmm. Then go back and have your career, do what you want to do, and have no regrets when they get older.
Yeah.
I always tried to be a present mom to my children.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Same here. And I can tell you, when I stayed home the first time for the 2 years, it was really hard for me. Even though I was going to school full time, it was hard for me to be home, and not providing, and not, because I worked since I was 16 years old. So I didn't know how not to work, and then having a man, take care of me and providing for me. Because, when I was younger, I was, with that mindset of little Miss Independent, which I'm still independent, but now, obviously 50 years old, my mindset has changed drastically and dramatically with all my life experience. When I stayed home the second time, it was a little bit easier for me, because I understood I am providing a service to my family. I am providing a job. I'm being there. I'm present every single moment. I'm there at every, event at school. I'm there volunteering when I couldn't do that before because I was always at work,
And that's work. Shit, I don't care what anybody says. Being a stay-at-home mom is fucking work.
It was a lot of work, because you're always on from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed. So you don't just go to work for 8-10 hours a day and then come back and deal with your kids. No, you're dealing with them 24/7. So it is a lot of work. I will say, though, that once I went back to work and started working on my career, once my kids were a little bit older, I did appreciate it more. I appreciated my time that I was dedicating to myself,
You had a little break.
But yeah, so I had a break from my normal, everyday life, my family life. I went and I hung out with adults and made adult decisions. Like you, I respect both. And like you said, if you're able to, if your family can survive without, and can thrive and flourish without you working and you just staying home, then great, do that, because I feel like the kids benefit from that the most.
Yeah.
But if you do also have to provide, because your husband or your partner, you both have to, because in this economy, let's be real, then do that too. Don't diminish what you're providing for your family, whether you stay at home or whether you're working.
Yes.
Either way, you're providing that extra support and love and everything for your children and for your family to thrive and flourish. As long as you and your partner know that you are in partnership. Yeah, you do have to find balance, because now you both are working. You're both having to come home and deal with the kids. Both have to come home and cook and clean and do all the things, and practices and all that. Just make sure that that you're getting a really good work-life balance, because your kids need you. And that's the bottom line. Right along those lines, do you believe that women can have it all? Like, can we be career women and
absolutely
moms?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
I've seen women that have had, I'm sure they've had their own personal battles and we don't see them, but that do have the careers and are supporting their families. Sometimes the dad ends up staying home because her career can cover all the expenses, and
right.
The dad can stay home with the children, which is amazing too. I mean, whichever way works, it works. But definitely a woman can have it all if she has a good partner behind her.
I agree. Now, what if she doesn't have the partner behind her? What if
she still can kick ass and take names. It might take her a little. It might take her a little while, but who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I mean, look at all these single moms that are out there putting businesses and stuff together, and
that's so
they're running their own businesses, their own small companies, and they've done it all by themselves with some sacrifice. I mean, you got to make sure that the sacrifice is worth it at the end of the day, but I think women can do anything, no matter what nationality, no matter where you're coming from. If you're dedicated and you're driven, you can do anything.
I agree. So we talked about work-life balance. There has to be a balance with your mental health and your physical health as well. You have to make sure that you're not spreading yourself out too thin, because mental breakdowns are real, especially with women, because we think we have superpowers, and we do. We're super women, like, we get that.
Yeah, but sometimes we drag ourselves into the ground.
That's the reality of it, is that we don't have that safe and soft spot to land. So we're taking on all of the problems of all the world, right? So we're trying to be the volunteers. We're trying to be the soccer mom. We're trying to be the career woman. We're trying to be everything to everybody else, but then we forget about being us. That special person for ourselves. Because we've said this many times on this podcast, we cannot pour from an empty cup. So being able to recognize that sometimes you have to learn how to say no.
It's okay.
It's
Let
fine.
me tell
It's
you,
okay. Yeah.
God forbid that anyone goes through a divorce or a separation or anything like that, and you find yourself, you're like, who am I? What are my interests? Oh, I used to do this. I used to do that with my significant other. What do? Don't get to that point. Get to the point that you're doing all this, but at the same time, you're making good decisions and you have boundaries.
Yes.
So when something does happen, you're able to move on and know who you are as a woman, stand confident. I mean, have your days where you go and cry in the shower and do whatever because this is a lot. That's okay, but you know that you need that time so you can reboot.
Yeah. And so if you're in a situation where you are like maybe co-parenting or something, and you need to ask your partner, your co-parenting partner, for that extra help, do it. Don't be stubborn and thinking, oh, I've got it, I can do this, I can do that, because the only person that's going to suffer
is you.
Yeah, and maybe your children, because we think that we hide a lot from our kids when they're little, and
they're always watching us. And
they are always watching us. So you may think that you're in the shower crying, having a breakdown, and then you come out and you're like, okay, you're super mom and you're great and everything's fantastic.
Like this at the door.
Exactly. Mommy. And they hear you. So let's try to make sure that everything is evenly balanced, that you do have time, that one-on-one time with your children, but then also that alone time for yourself, so you can recharge and you can be the best person that you can be at work and at home with your kids.
Yeah.
So,
and your partner.
Of course, I was talking about single moms, but
oh,
but
yes. And your boyfriend. I don't know.
But yes, your partner too. Okay, so right now we're going to make a little segue for our slice of advice.
Guys, this is a good one. I'm so excited. I didn't want to butcher it like I do sometimes. You know, I write it down and then I try to read my handwriting and couldn't do it. But this one is on jealousy. Here's how you know someone is secretly jealous of you. So,
everything that irritates us about others can...
Okay. We're starting this over again.
You know, someone's secretly jealous of you. Carl Jung said this. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. And basically what he meant was this. When someone reacts with bitterness to your growth, it usually has nothing to do with you and everything to do with what they haven't dealt with within themselves. You see, jealousy, it doesn't always look loud. It's not always obvious. It's subtle. It's strategic. And it usually hides behind sarcasm, silence, or forced support. You see, they'll downplay your wins. They bring up your past when you're trying to talk about your future. They'll call your goals too much and then steal your ideas when no one's looking. You'll feel it in your body way before you see it in their behavior because the energy never lies. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who are inspired by you and those who are triggered by the fact that you became who they were too scared to be. Mm-hmm. One claps when you evolve. The other gets quieter every time you outgrow the version of you they could control. See, mostly jealousy doesn't look like hate. It looks like hesitation, distance. You see, the energy shift when you walk into the room. And if you ever feel like you have to shrink to make someone else comfortable, it's already confirmed. They're not clapping because they're counting. And deep down, they don't want your success. They just want your pace to slow down so they don't feel left behind.
That's exactly it. Wow, that was a good one.
Oh my God, it gave me the chills.
They don't want to be left behind, and that's what it is. When people are not genuinely supportive of your growth and your success, it's because they don't want to. They're losing a version of you that they had and maybe had control over, and they felt maybe superior to. So then when they have to clap for you, like he said, now they're going to feel inferior. But that's a them thing. That's not a you thing. It's a them thing.
Yep.
So, yeah, that was so good.
So
wow. Good. It was good. It was really good.
Yes. Man, this guy freaking nailed it.
He did.
Nailed it.
Yep. When they get quieter and quieter after every step of your growth. Yep. Okay, so getting back to our topic at hand. Do women pay a higher price for their careers than men do?
They do. They sacrifice more.
Right? And I know this is kind of like a hot topic in the whole gender war. If there even is a war.
There is a war.
The battle of the sexes. But, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here before I go into
here we go.
What I think.
The lone wolf. No, I'm just kidding.
Because I do think...
No, you make me see things differently when you do this. So.
Well, but I think in this particular instance, on this particular subtopic, I feel like men sometimes, not all the time, not all men, I should say. I feel like men get the shorter end of the stick because they also sacrifice a lot. They don't get to be home sometimes putting their kids to bed because maybe they're truck drivers and they're gone for 5 days out of the week. And they really wish they could be with their kids. They could make it to the basketball games, to the baseball games, the football games, whatever, practices or whatever it is that they're missing out on. So there are men out there that do feel like they're getting the short end. So they do have to sacrifice.
I'm not taking anything away from men. I am not. Love every single one of you. Obviously, father, I have sons, whatever. And I want them to grow up to be good men. The The journey for women, though, has always been much harder because they have been minimized. So women have fought so hard to be where they're at. I mean, I think they've gone a little overboard with stuff, but they've worked so hard to be where they're at, to be able to achieve the CFOs, the CEO positions at a company, the presidents, the vice presidents, you know, those titles. And they have worked their asses off. They have sacrificed their families. Some end up sacrificing their marriages because they're absent. Some are sacrificing their relationships with their kids. Sometimes both parents are super successful and all they do is work, and then their kids suffer. You know, so I don't want to take anything away from women because they started at nothing and they fought so hard to be something. So I give them that. I think men have always worked hard, you know, and the world at one point looked at men as the stronger species, the more intellectual, the more they're stronger, they're wiser, they're non-emotional, and all that. So they're able to go, and they shut down when they're working. That's what they're doing. That's their focus. They have tunnel vision when they're trying to achieve whatever goal it is. With women, they fought so hard that when they get somewhere, they hold on so tight because they don't want to lose it. And sometimes they don't see what's happening down below, but some women are super successful and freaking awesome moms. Too. Yeah. So I kind of see both. I see where you're coming from, absolutely, but also men have worked hard all their lives.
Yeah. But I feel like because of that statement, I feel like sometimes we almost take it for granted.
Oh, no. Yeah,
we take it for granted. It's almost like, yeah, well, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Working your ass off and bringing home the bacon. Being a provider, because we have put that on men for so long. That's how we, from the beginning of time, even before corporate America or the Industrial Revolution.
That was their jobs.
Exactly. So it's like, yeah, go out there and literally bring home bacon. Bring home the meals.
And bread and eggs.
Yes, and then the women stayed home and they were gatherers, not hunters, right? So, I mean, since the beginning of time, it's been that way. Now, I said I was going to play devil's advocate before I said what I was going to say, which I do agree with you that I feel like women's plights have just been that much harder, and we have had to fight a lot more than, say, men. I mean, we just talked about, you know, how they're seen in the workforce, you know, an educated man versus an educated woman. Like, they both have MBAs. Okay, they're going to pay more attention to the man, and they're, because they think they're wiser, they think they're more logical, they think they're all of the things, right? But then you've got this really smart, educated woman that can actually make super good financial decisions. Maybe she's a little bit more on the emotional side because we are emotional beings, but she's right there with him.
Toe to toe.
But corporate America still sees the male as the stronger gender of the species. So yeah, I do feel, I don't want to take away anything from the men, because I do feel like they're underseen in the home life, because they do struggle too. I feel like they sacrifice a lot for the families. And if you're in a good relationship, then your sacrifices, whether you're male or female, it's not going to go unnoticed. It's not going to go unseen. If you're in a toxic relationship or a toxic marriage, then obviously it's always going to be, you don't see me, I do all of this, and Okay, I mean, do you think he's out there working, you know, because he likes it? I mean, maybe he does, but he is working hard for his family.
You want to switch roles?
Yeah. How about you go, you know, plow the fields and do all the things, you know, and now I'm thinking about farmers, but anyway. But I'm just saying, like, you know, I can see it both ways. And again, I go back to make sure there's a balance and there's partnership, you know, between you and your partner. Make sure there is an actual partnership.
Yeah, that's huge. Communication's key.
Definitely. We keep stressing that because it's true.
The C word, and it's the good C word. Well, there's two good C words, but we're going with the communication C word.
Yes.
C.
See.
And nobody be mad, because I know there's so many people that are going to be freaking out over this. So it's just our opinion. That's it.
So I was going through some reels. And I came across one that showed a statistic. And it said, educated women are more likely to be single. Do you agree with that?
Nowadays, yes. I do. Because women are built different nowadays. They're very driven. They carry a lot of masculine energy. So some men have a hard time with that. I think that's why some marriages don't last.
Yeah.
With that, they take what they give in the boardroom and they bring it home. Like a lot of women that, especially nowadays, they have a goal. They want to set that goal. They don't have time for family. They don't have time for kids. In order to achieve this goal, they have to be by themselves, which is fine. Whatever floats your boat, you know? So that's my opinion. It's definitely has changed. A lot more women don't want kids. A lot more women don't want to be married. They want to be single. They want to be able to enjoy their lives by themselves, you know, which is fair.
I agree with the statistic. Oh, Lord have mercy. I feel like nowadays, like you said, women are more focused on their careers and less focused, especially the younger generation. They're getting married later in life. They're having children later in life. They're more just, they're focused on themselves, you know, and nothing wrong with that. I don't think.
No,
I think it's fine. I think they're thinking more now whether or not it's a good idea to bring children into this world, into their lives, and can they, you know, be present parents. Being an educated woman and single, I have to really agree with this, but not because so I am single because I want to be single. It's a choice, not because I want to be. I'm not saying I'm choosing to be single because I'm gonna be single, and no. Lord have mercy.
That's a motorcycle.
That's a motorcycle. It's fine. It's fine. Oh God, sorry. Go again. With my elbow. So I do choose to be single right now, only because I haven't found the right person. I've always had high standards, but I was more willing to, we talk about the 80-20 rule or the 80-20 situation, and I didn't find the 80. It was more like 60-40. I found the 60, and I went with that because, you know, he had the security, you know, provided a stable life, and that's what I needed for me and my child at the time. So anyway, I feel like I got completely off track here, but what I'm saying is that I agree with the statistic because I fall into that. I am an educated woman who is single, and I find it hard to lower my standards, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I have very high expectations of what a man should bring to the table, and I'm not talking monetarily. That's not even, I'm not talking finances. I'm talking about really good, like soul level stuff, you know, energy wise.
Values.
Can we have values? Yes, morals. Can we have deep conversations about shit without you flying off the handle? And because I don't agree with what you say and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like I've yet to find that, unfortunately. So ladies, if you're single and you're educated and you feel like that's why you're single, you're probably right. You're probably right. I'm just going to say it. Like, I don't know.
It's okay is what we're saying.
It is okay. When you're on an interview, have you ever been asked why the gap in your resume or your work life? Have you always worked? Is that why?
I've always worked.
Yeah.
And every place I've worked, I've been there for a long period of time. Minus one place.
What do you think about like this generation, the millennials especially, and the what is it, Gen
Z?
Gen Z. Yeah, Gen Z. I was going to say Gen Y.
I'll tell you what my opinion is on that.
Yeah.
Because I have seen their resume, girlfriend.
Because they're job hoppers, though, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think
And then
about
when
that?
you ask them why they've been from place to place to place to place, they can't even be honest with you enough to tell you, well, you know, this job just didn't work for me. I was looking for XYZ, so that's why I moved on to the other place, because this is what was promised to me. It's always like, oh, no, you know, I just needed change. Like, there's no further details, and I just need to change. Well, I was just interning for this company, and I decided the company wasn't for me, or, you know, like, a little bit more, be a little bit more in depth on why. But I've seen resumes that
Have a gazillion jobs.
6 months here, 6 months there, 6 months here. And I'm like, well, you know, we should... I've even heard this. We should take a chance on them. You know, their resume looks really good. Their education, what they did. Heck no. So you're telling me it's going to take us 6 months to train somebody. Then in another month or two, they got everything they needed, and now they're moving on to the next company? Nah,
It's going to pay them a little bit more or whatever the case is. Yeah.
And that's what it is. At the end of the day, that's what it is. People move from job to job to job because of the salaries.
Usually, yes.
And because it's less work.
See, and
more money, less work.
Or they think it's going to be less work. Grass is always greener on the other side, right? That's what they think anyway. Until they get to that next job, and maybe that's why they leave too, because they're like, well, shit.
Todavía.
They get to the next job, and then they're like, well, shit, you know, this is just as much work, if not more, you know, because now I'm getting paid a little bit more, so they expect a little bit more from me. So, yeah. And I have also found on the opposite side of that, where people like myself who have stayed, and yourself, stayed at a company for a long time, and say the same position, but maybe different responsibilities throughout the years, you know, but on paper, it looks like you've been in the same position for 5 years or 6 years. And they're like, well, wait, you didn't do, well, bitch, I was already at the top. Where do you want me to go? You know
I can't own the company.
I know, I'm sorry. So I feel like I've encountered both. On the receiving end, meaning I'm the interviewer, right? I'm the employer. And I have gone through that where I sacrifice a year or two, and I mentor them and I train them, and then they're damn good accountants and they move on. I mean, it just happens. I support them, and I still put in full effort with people, because I feel, as long as they're willing to learn. Now, if they're not willing to learn, they're just here to earn a paycheck, then you know what? Earn your paycheck. But you're not going to get any special treatment from me. I will take you under my wing if you show interest and you show motivation and initiative. You take the initiative to say, hey, Yvette, can you teach me how to do this? Yes. Or they ask a question and I'm like, okay, do you want the short answer? Do you want my answer? And they're always like, well, your answer. Okay, good. That means we're going to go into full detail, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do XYZ, because now this is going to be something that you're going to have under your tool belt. That's just the way I am. That's the way I work. I mean, I feel like I can't gatekeep knowledge, because that's just going to help.
It's so unfair. Yeah.
But it's going to help me too, because that makes them better workers. You know, they produce better work. So then it helps me, because then I don't have to go and like fix mistakes or have to talk to them and then let's redo this. And especially with financial statements, it's tedious work as it is. Anyway, that's the way I see it. But I probably got off topic. Sorry.
I'd rather give a chance and an opportunity to someone that is truly honest with their resume, and just say, you know, it wasn't a position for me. I want to learn more. I wasn't learning anything there.
Yeah.
And that's why I moved on to the next job. And then, you know, explain why you're leaving that company to come to this company. You know, I'd rather you just give me the nitty gritty than sit there and freaking bullshit me and then get you in the door, and then you end up being a hot mess.
Yeah, that's true. And actually that happened to me once. I'm a pretty good reader of people. Like I pride myself in that, where I can tell like if they're bullshitting or if they're presenting themselves, because everybody in an interview put their best foot forward. But I have been bamboozled a couple of times. I will admit that. I have been bamboozled where I feel like they presented themselves in a certain way and then they got into the company and I was like, who the fuck is this? That wasn't the person I interviewed. Yeah. What? And then it's a nightmare, you know. So anyway, always CYA, cover your ass. Always, always, always. What is the most important thing to you as a woman in your career and your job? Like, what do you look for? I know a lot of people will say salaries.
It's not salaries for me. I think I was spoiled back in when I was in Jersey because the company that I worked for was just, our office was very family oriented and we were all like a family. Like we would go and do stuff outside of the office together and dinners. People would come over, you know. Mm-hmm. It was a different dynamic. And I think that's what I've always looked at with companies that I've gone to is that family feel. Mm-hmm. You're not going to always get it from everywhere you go because honestly, since I've been here in Georgia, I haven't really felt that way until my current place of employment. So,
which is really strange that you say that because it's a global organization. Mm-hmm. So you would think such a huge corporation that it's like,
yeah, I mean, it's different. Like with my mentors there, like it's just a different dynamic. So it's, you know, it takes me a long time to get comfortable, and it's definitely people that you want to socialize with, be around, and all that good stuff. So
it's more the culture, and
I am very culture oriented.
Yeah,
you know, I want to know what the company stands for, what their values are. That is my biggest attraction to a company.
Mm-hmm. I get that. I totally get that. It's the same for me. Yes, salary is important because I'm not going to work for free. I'm just not. You know, especially at the level that I'm at, the level of service that I provide, I'm not going to work for free. I can't afford to work for free.
Not here.
No, not in this economy. Mm-mm. But yeah, I feel the biggest thing is the culture of the organization. And like you said, what they stand for, what their mission is. Okay, so now I have 6 pieces of advice. Again, a reel. And it was this lady that she wrote down 6 pieces of advice that she wished she would have ignored. Oh, from people that told her when she was starting her career. Yeah. 6 pieces of career advice I wish I ignored. The first one is stay loyal to one company and climb the ladder. That's what we were just talking about right now. And her thought process is loyalty to one company does not guarantee advancement. Staying too long can stall your learning, network, and earning potential.
I agree with that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, so especially like the baby boomers and us, you know, Gen Xers, we were raised to start with a company, you stay with a company, grow with a company. Yep. You'll have different positions with one company and then retire.
Yep.
You know, that was the goal before. It's so different now, especially as we just mentioned with millennials and Gen Zers. It's completely different now. They're looking out for themselves, which I guess, I mean, I kind of can't blame them to a certain extent. But at the same time, did your parents not instill loyalty? Maybe not loyal to a fault, but loyalty to your organization and the time that you're putting into them and they're putting into you, because we do invest a lot of time and energy into our employees and our staff. You know, like, again, learning, mentoring, you know, I mean, not learning, but teaching them, mentoring them, and getting them to be super successful, providing all the tools to be super successful in their positions and future positions. So the second one is wait your turn for promotions and raises. That's the advice. She says, hard work alone doesn't guarantee recognition. And if you don't advocate for yourself, you'll get overlooked. And then it says, ask for what you want.
Yes.
What's the worst that can happen, right?
Mm-hmm. They say no.
Okay. Then you start looking for
yeah, then you move on.
Then you move on, yeah. Good work will speak for itself. That's the third one. No, good work alone doesn't protect you or your brand. Speaking up respectfully can open doors, and leaders aren't made by staying invisible. This is so true. I've always been a proponent of advocating for yourself, because if you cannot advocate for yourself, then what makes you think somebody else would? Your boss, your supervisor, whoever. And then you get left feeling like, oh, I'm not seen, or oh, they don't appreciate me, I'm undervalued. Okay, well, but have you spoken up? Have you actually advocated for yourself and said, hey, you know what? I did XYZ. I expect now a promotion, or at least a raise, or more responsibilities. Now, if you've been there for 5 minutes, calm your tits. Like,
yeah, some people, they've been there for a year and they think they know it all.
Yeah.
And want to move on to the next position. It's like, pipe down.
And if you really feel like you're in a position to change positions, go talk to your HR representative and ask them, what is the trajectory for somebody in my position to get from this position to that position, so that I know what I'm working on,
And
career-wise.
I know what I can make my goal.
Yeah. Career growth and, plans. And I think that's what reviews are for too. It's like,
they're so much fun.
they are so much fun, but they make you think though. And I used to hate that we would get asked what we thought of ourselves, as far as like, where do you think you should be, or do you think you're at the level that you. But now I understand. Now as a leader, I understand why they were asking us that. It was because it's self-reflection. If you cannot advocate for yourself, how am I supposed to advocate for you?
I've had companies that I've worked for that tell me to put my goals together, and then they turn around and change my goals.
Like completely?
Like completely change my goals.
Oh, why?
Oh yeah. And I'm looking at them. I think that's why I hate putting goals and stuff together, because not so much now. I'm older, but when I was younger, it's like, these are truly my goals. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And now you're coming in here and railroading my goals. Like, that's a turnoff. Like, that makes me not want to do anything for you. You know?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Do they give you reasons?
No, they would fully change them.
Just completely. What?
Yes.
With no explanation, no nothing.
Be like, well, this is what we want you to work on.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And I'm like, okay, so I spent an hour putting my goals together, and now you're telling me to change them because you don't agree with them. You want me to do what you want me to do. If you want me to do what you want to do, don't let me spend an hour putting my goals together, and then you freaking knock them in the balls.
See, and a good leader would then would look at your goals.
And this is when I first started in the corporate world. It's not recent.
So a good leader would look at your goals and say, okay, I see your goals. I see what you have set for yourself. These are my expectations for you. Let's see how we can,
work them together.
No, exactly.
They would change. Wow. And then they would change them in the system.
No.
Yep. I'll never forget that. I was fired up. And then one day they said, oh, you need to have your goals. And I said, what for? You're going to change them. And she just looked at me like, excuse me? I'm like, you're just going to change them.
Yeah. Oh.
Just tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it.
Lord have mercy. Yeah, I don't agree with that. It's a bad leader.
Oh.
Okay, so number 4 is focus only on technical skills. I misspelled a word, so sorry. Anyway, focus only on technical skills. Building and refining soft skills can help you grow in your position. Relationship building and communication are career multipliers. This is so true. So true. Do you agree or not, or disagree?
I agree.
I totally agree with this. Sorry. Finish the bottle. Oh, which, by the way,
it's finished.
We haven't been saying what we're drinking. This one is White Haven. You see that? I don't know if you can see that.
That's good. That's a great wine.
It's super good. It is Marlboro Sauvignon Blanc. It's a 2023. It's from New Zealand. It's a New Zealand wine.
New Zealand.
Yeah, we love this one. This is one of our favorites.
And we have 2 more. I know that sounds weird, but we do. And we have Chateau Michel.
Chateau Saint Michel. Yeah.
Saint Michel.
You can't really.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's the lighting.
It's the lighting.
It's too bright.
The label. But this is a sweet Riesling, which is one of my favorites.
It smells yummy. I haven't tasted it, but it smells yummy.
She might not taste it tonight. I might have to bring her another bottle.
And the other one is the same brand.
Same brand.
But it's a Chardonnay.
It's a Chardonnay.
Yeah.
That's for Missy Bet.
It was yummy. This is what I had earlier. But I'm finishing this one because that one was... I still haven't finished it anyway. Yeah. So, back to our... Another piece of advice that she wishes she ignored. Find a stable, safe job and stay there. Then she says, there is no such thing as a stable job. This is so true. Mm-hmm. You could be at a company for 20 years and you haven't retired yet, and they could be like, deuces. We're merging with so-and-so. Your position's being eliminated and now you're out of a job. I mean, it happens. So no, there's no such thing as a stable job. Everyone is expendable. Instead, bet on yourself and not the company. Remember what I said, CYA, cover your ass. Okay? CYA always. What do you think?
I think yes. And I also think for you Gen Zers, this can apply
millennials.
And millennials. Few Gen Zs, Gen X. Sorry.
Sound like Yvette.
I think that when you're working for a company, you should give yourself a life, like a year goal. Like, say, I'm going to stay here for 5 years. After 5 years, I want to put a goal.
Yeah.
And an end game. And in 5 years, if you're not growing, you don't see your growth, you move on. Mm-hmm. At least you have 5 years of work, of, a company that you stayed faithful for 5 years. Mm-hmm. Because we are so replaceable that it's always good to have a backup plan. So the longer you're there, give yourself 5 years, because especially in the way the economy is, 5 years, and then in that 5th year, say, you know what? I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And start looking for another time. I think that's fair. That's better than a year, 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, in even 6 months to a year, even a year. Let's go with a year. Let's under a year. If you're at a place under a year, either you're the problem. I'm sorry. Either you're the problem, or they just literally didn't treat you well and you had to move on. I get that. Okay. But a year is ample time to really get to know your job, your responsibilities. I wouldn't say a year is enough time to master your position.
Exactly. That's why I say 5 years.
5 years is good, because in 5 years you can grow. Even if they don't give you or promote you to a different position, at least you can grow in your position.
In your skills.
Yes. And in 5 years you can master your position, and you can actually, again, use that to advocate for yourself. You know what? I've been in this position for 5 years. I've done all of these things, within my position in the last 5 years. I feel I'm ready for the next step forward, or for more pay, or whatever it is. I mean, obviously, hopefully you're getting, raises in between, but 5 years I think is good.
Yeah.
It's a safe number, 5 years. I know it sounds like a lifetime to Gen Zers and millennials. It sounds like 5 years. What? But if you're trying to learn something and trying to gain experience for 6 months on your resume, that's not going to look good. I'm telling you, as somebody who hires people, I'm not going to look at you at all. If I see that you've had 7 jobs within the last 7 years, I'm not going to look at your resume. I don't care where you went to school. You could have gone to Yale. I could care less. Your loyalty, the fact that you haven't actually taken the time to grow within your position, to master the skills of that position, then you're not going to do it for my company. Why would you? The loyalty is not there, your work ethic is not there either. So I get it that, Gen Zers, they're always on the lookout for themselves, right? They're, if they're not getting whatever out of that position or that company, they're just going to move on. Yes, I agree with her. Like, don't stay at a job for 20 years and expect loyalty, because yes, you do have to look out for yourself. But at least give yourself the opportunity to grow with one organization and really get to know whatever skill set, whatever it is. Just because you think that because you went to school, are you really learning all the things? Anyway, just because you went to school doesn't mean that you know everything. I'm sorry, but you don't. A lot of these things you have to have real life experience. Give yourself the 5 years to gain that experience within that organization, and then you could take it somewhere else. Okay, the last one is success equals job titles and salary. True success is doing work that aligns with your values, lifestyle, and goals. When you focus on purpose, the money and fulfillment will follow. I agree. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Okay, so now I have our what the fuck moment.
Dun, 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 dun. And it's gonna gross me out.
It's not gonna gross you. I mean, it is gonna gross you out, but it's not.
See?
Gonna gross you.
She never gets a normal one.
I swear to you, this one's not about poop.
All her stuff is about poop and vagina.
But it's not. I mean,
Okay.
It is, but it's not.
Oh, God.
It's not.
Carry on.
So, I watched a reel. Okay, so I want to say Facebook has these freaking stories, right? And I get sucked into them because they're like 10 minutes long. Now, I had to write this one down because it was a really long reel. Otherwise, I would just play it for you. I'm just going to read it and you tell me what you think.
Oh, God.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Today's what the fuck moment is: girl meets this guy in some foreign country. She's there on vacation, okay? She's a college student. She didn't say which country. She meets this guy at a bar who then ends up taking her out on several dinner dates while she's there. During the dates, he was feeding her an insane amount of food. And she always thought, wow, why is he feeding me, right?
God.
Yeah. Insane amount of food. More than she'd ever eaten at a dinner. So on her last night, because she's heading back home the next day, he kept asking her to come back home to his place on their last dinner date, right? She doesn't, because she gets creeped out by him being so pushy about her going back home with him. He was blowing up her phone after the last dinner date, wanting her to come over. She went back to her hotel. She comes home back to the US, and a couple days later, she gets a big rash on her back. Weird, right? Yeah. She goes to the dermatologist to get it checked out. They run some tests to see what the rash is because it's getting worse after a few days. A few days after the tests were run, she gets a call from the dermatologist saying that she needs to come into the office right away and they will have police waiting there. Dun, 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 dun. She's confused and asks why. Why is there going to be cops there? I didn't do anything wrong, right? Dermatologist says, no, you didn't, but they will have some questions. When she gets there, it's not the police, it's the FBI.
Oh.
So, turns out the rash on her back is caused by a cream that is put in food to break down skin.
Oh!
It's used in cannibalism. I just got chills.
Oh, my God. Ew.
I just got chills. So the FBI asked her if she's been around anyone new in the past few weeks because this cream takes time to break the skin down.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, God, I got chills.
Every hair on my body is standing up at attention. This is freaking me out.
She tells them about this guy that she met in said country, and the dinner dates and the overfeeding her and all of that. The FBI works with the foreign
He was
countries.
trying to plump her up.
The FBI works with the foreign countries' authorities, and they raid his apartment and found several skulls and women's bones all over his apartment.
Oh.
Apparently, he did this to many women over the years. What the actual fuck?
Silence of the Lamb shit.
That is what I said. I said real life Hannibal Lecter, Silence of the Lambs. What the fuck?
Everything is standing over my skin.
She met him at a bar. He was nice. He was handsome, whatever. He takes her out on several dates while she's there.
Those are the guys that always get you, those damn suckers.
Oh my God. I was like...
Just remember, Psycho was freaking good looking too. Y'all need to watch yourselves. I have a stub muffin, but he's safe.
Dude, seriously, that is wild.
That's insane. Like, all my hairs were standing up in my skin.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to eat anything any male makes. He's probably trying to plump me up to eat.
Trying to fatten me up. Well, this cream actually breaks down the skin so that it's made edible. That's what it is. Ugh, I know. But he had to give her...
What is wrong with people?
He had to feed her this food, a lot of food, so that she could ingest more of the cream so that it could break down the skin.
Whoa,
and that's what was happening
wrong
on her
with
back.
people?
That is what was happening on her back. Yeah. Anyway, that is your what the fuck moment for today.
That is WTF, baby.
That is, oh my God. Yeah. Crazy. All right. Let's get back to business here. Do you believe there is still a pay gap in today's workforce between men and women?
Yes. The gap is closer, but there's still a gap there.
Yeah, I agree. I believe at my level to be a CFO, I feel like male CFOs will get paid a lot more than I will. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do believe that.
And they try to say it's all their qualifications, but it's
exactly, but it's bullshit. It's just
gender.
Because they take them more serious than us. But
they won't hit the nuclear bomb switch.
Exactly, where we'll be like, nope.
We hate you.
Bye. Now, do you believe that it's fair for employers when you're on the job hunt to stalk your social media pages or look you up online?
No, I don't think anything you do outside of the company is anyone's business.
I agree.
Especially if you don't have the company's name, information, or anything on your pages, on your social media, it's none of their business.
Exactly.
And you're not mentioning them, you're not dealing with them. Like, what you do on your personal time is your personal time. When you're off the clock, you're off the clock. Now, you're doing drugs or something stupid like that, that's a whole nother story. But social media should be off limits to companies, which I know a lot of companies now do. They
stalk
find out what's going on.
They stalk you online. Yeah. I understand, like, when I've applied for positions, they ask me for my LinkedIn URL. So I get it. LinkedIn, that's more of a professional social media or platform, or social platform, I guess. I don't know. But I don't mind giving that out.
No, that's fine.
I don't post anything.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people post stuff on LinkedIn, but I don't. I use it just for networking, and that's it. But to be cyber stalking me, that feels kind of creepy, actually. And now that we have this platform, I feel okay, yes, I'm going to talk about stuff, but do I ever mention any names? I mean, I don't even mention my ex-husband's name, so why would I mention your company's name? And I'm pretty professional anyways, but I do see how, because I've seen on Facebook, again, Facebook is like drama central.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So on Facebook, I do understand, because people feel like they just word vomit over Facebook. But yeah, I will tell you, as an employer, like looking for employees, I never once looked somebody up on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat.
I just don't think it's none of their business.
I don't either.
Especially if, like, it's a very family oriented. It's still none of their business. What you do on your off time is what you do on your off time, as long as it's not compromising them in any way.
I never looked at anybody up, and I feel like social media pages should just be left to their own personal, private stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Do men really admire the working woman?
I think some men do. It's fair to say. Yeah.
What caliber of men do, though?
Just kidding. I don't think it's a different. It matters where they fall. I mean, when a man genuinely admire someone, they genuinely admire them. Not like some women are like, oh my God, you're doing such a great job. And then turn around and be like, oh, she fucked that shit up too.
Yeah.
I think when a man tells you that, you did a great job, and they're a little bit more uplifting. I mean, they're not as soft as a woman would be, but I think it comes from more of a genuine place. Unless that woman is uber confident in who she is as a leader, as a CFO, as a CEO, and you know that it's coming from a good place. I mean, usually it's, oh my God, you did an amazing job. You're so great. And then they turn around and it's like, oh my God, this person is just shit, Not that I've ever heard that, but I'm just saying, I think it's more genuine.
And also, I feel like men don't really compliment women in the workplace on their work very often. So when they do, I feel it's genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, high five. Way to go.
It's
every
not,
5 minutes.
It's not trying to overcompensate for something. They literally mean, hey, good job. So when I get a compliment from a male supervisor, even a male counterpart, I kind of take it to heart because, all right, good. Yeah, I am doing a good job.
Men are harder to impress.
Yeah, that's true. Well, what about in a relationship, though?
Here we go with the spicy stuff.
I have to ask the hard questions. I mean, does a man actually admire the fact that his woman is a career? She's a boss bitch?
Mine does. He loves the fact that I have my own career. I'm able to stand on 2 feet. That's something he's never had in his life. So I think he values that a lot more because it's something that he has now.
What about in general, though? Do you think men are secure enough in their own selves? I feel like that's what it boils down to, is insecurity.
Oh, yeah. 1,000% sure. When I was in the dating scene, girl, it was brutal. Brutal. I'm telling you, it was like, when I first moved to Georgia, I had taken a year off to get my house together and do, work on the house and all that stuff. And I just couldn't work and do it at the same time. And I decided, I'm going to start dating. To see, what's out there and little country boys. I'm in Georgia. Girl, as soon as they found out I wasn't working, they're like, so what's your game plan? What are you going to do? It was like, holy shit, she's a gold digger.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to hear that shit that you weren't working. They did not want to hear that shit. So, needless to say, I was alone for a long time.
Yeah, that is crazy.
It was insane they didn't ask me why or like...
It was just the fact that you weren't working.
It's just the fact that I wasn't working.
And that's a
They're
problem.
like, are you looking for work? What do you plan on doing? What's your future plans? What da. And I'm like looking at them and I was like, it's none of your business. I just met you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, okay. But on the same token, if you had met somebody who was in between jobs, would you have maybe judged them a little bit because they didn't have a job?
Not so much because at the moment I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, who am I to judge somebody? Who am I to judge anybody anyways? You know? At the end of the day. I mean, everyone has their struggles. Some people have gone through 20 years in a company and lose their jobs. They don't know, they can't find... You know how hard the job market is. I mean, it's crazy right now. It went from jobs everywhere to people not even giving you a chance nor an opportunity.
Yeah.
To
not even face to face.
No, not
for an interview or
not
something.
Not one
yeah.
interview. No, it's just now people don't even want to deal with you. Rejection. It's like, where's the human in all this? You know?
Yeah.
So
that's a good point, actually, because I feel like sometimes you don't even get past the the talent acquisition program, whatever program they're using, you don't even get past it because of certain like keywords that they're looking for, and they just reject. And then so the actual hiring managers are really only presented with maybe like a handful of resumes.
Yeah.
And that's why these positions become available again, because they went through those 5 or 10, and then they're like, well, shit, I need my pool to be larger. But then you're not getting passed because you're not using the keywords in the resume.
And
But
you
how
don't
do you
even
know
what the keywords
I was
are.
just going to say, and how do you know which keywords those are? Who knows? Who knows? It's different for every company. It's different for every position. Like, you just never know. So yeah. Oh God. Yeah. It's harsh out there. It's really harsh out there.
I'm just saying, you need to know the person's situation before you make a decision whether they're okay to date, not okay to date,
I agree. I will say though, and this might ruffle some feathers for the fellas, but I feel like, because the question was, do men really admire the working woman? I almost feel like because men need to be needed, they kind of either don't want them to be working or want them to be struggling and need them. Or they're working, they want them to be working, but not making more than they are, not be more successful than they are, because they need to be up here and we need to be down here. And, I get it. The dynamic shifts. It does shift. Let's be real.
Yeah,
it does
for
shift,
sure.
when the
And it
woman
depends
is
on the
earning
person.
more.
It depends on the man.
Yeah.
Some men are okay with it. Some men are competitive with it. Some men are with it, so everyone's different, I reckon.
So do you think that relationships work better with stay-at-home dads and career moms versus stay-at-home moms and career dads?
Honestly, I think that having a stay-at-home dad is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why. Guys aren't as emotional as women.
Mm-hmm.
So they take things as they come. They take things in stride. So it's easier for them to help Joey and Michael and Sophia than, like, women get to a certain point that they're like so frazzled, so overwhelmed, where a man can process things a little better,
Yeah.
They can go to baseball, they can play baseball with Mikey, they can take Sophia to dance, they can, without skipping a beat, and make sure that you have dinner. And I'm going to get bashed for this. I know I am. But I think it's like taking the emotional side of it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why they can do all these things. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
Where we're always processing, oh my God, Jimmy's heart's broken. Oh my God.
I gotta go beat up some girl.
Oh my God. Like, we go, come on, moms.
Yeah.
We go freaking apeshit when something does not go right.
Mm-hmm.
We have patience to a certain extent, and then we're like, meow.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because we go, 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 go. Where guys will be like, hey, Joey, sit down on the couch. Let's watch a game.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're like, oh, honey, go take a bath, go brush your teeth. It's time for bed. I'll read you in a book in a second. We're so like hands-on and so emotional. And we want that connection with our kids, where the guys are like, to them, watching a Braves game is them bonding with them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's probably ramble, but
it does. It does make sense. I agree for the emotional side of it, the emotional bonding, because I do feel like dads probably are more transactional, like you said. They might miss certain things with their kids because they're not emotionally connected that way.
But that's where we come in and fill in the gaps.
Yeah, true. But if you're a career working mom and you're the stay-at-home dad, is the roles are reversed. But at the same time, when you get home, I've been at work all day trying to, solve the world's problems. When I get home, I just want to enjoy my children and not have to solve my children's problems.
My daddy's there. He can do all the dishes and clean the kitchen and all that.
But that's what I'm saying.
We're still gonna get kicked, our asses kicked for this shit.
I just feel like guys, because like you said, they're not really emotional beings, so they might miss out on some of the stuff that's going on with their children.
Hey, I loved when I used to come home from work and the boys were home, and as soon as I would sit on the couch, they would just come snuggle up with me and just sit there, and I would just kiss them, and then they would just like 5 minutes, poof, gone. That's all they needed was that 5-minute connection, and that was it. Let's go outside, just go play baseball, so. There's a balance.
I totally
They get all their loving and their from mommy, and they get all the other stuff from daddy, all the fun stuff.
That's always a fun guy. Yeah. What effect, if any, does it have on children to have their mom home versus their dad home?
Oh, God. It's a loaded question. God.
If it makes you feel better, is my last question for you.
Oh, thank God. Moms, we have such a bad habit of hovering.
Mm-hmm.
And just overdoing it with our children.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, facts are facts. We want to protect them at all times. We want to make sure we know what they're doing at all times. At the end of the day, they're going to do what they're going to do. And they're going to make the choices they're going to make. We instilled in them right from wrong. And at the end of the day, they're going to do what they want to do.
I mean, it's true. It's true.
Stop hovering. Just be there.
I feel like, well, and I can only speak to the fact that I was home with my kids, right? When my ex left for 2 years, the only person that I felt like maybe was missing out on him being gone was my son. And again, it was his senior year in high school. He needed that man guidance, that male guidance, like manly stuff. Which, I mean, him and I are super close still, and he's 30 years old, but I don't feel like the girls suffered as much, and they haven't said as much. So, I'm taking their non-verbalization of him being absent for those 2 years as a positive note or a positive thing.
They used to hold your hand when you would go driving with them. I mean, I'm not saying that they didn't need their dad.
That was as a teenager
yeah,
too.
I'm not saying they didn't need their dad, but
baby.
You were their safety.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I feel like if the roles were reversed though, and I was gone for 2 years and he was at home with them,
they would be full-blown daddy's girls.
I would have come home and been like, what the fuck? These are not my children. Like, I just feel like they would be completely different people. So yeah, anyway.
Daddy would be the best. Yeah. We just partied.
We cannot have that.
House upside down.
No.
Food everywhere.
All right, we have come to our wow moment, our words of wisdom, and Miss Joanna has them for us.
Oh, and it's good. Okay, so to me, this was very profound. So first it starts off with the African proverb. A cat that dreams of becoming a lion must lose its appetite for rats. Mm. The meaning of that is, to achieve greatness, you must let go of old habits that could hold back your progress.
Yep. Oh, I love that.
And there's no author on it, so. But that was so good.
It was good. Oh, yeah. I love that.
And it has the lion.
I do. Yeah. I was just going to say, already I love it because I love lions. So, yeah. Wow. Meaning, let go of what no longer serves you.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lion, you don't see him eating rats.
No. Hell no.
You do not see a lion eating rats. So remember how they used to say, taking it back to, or linking it back to like the whole career thing? I don't know if you remember, but coming up in my career, I remember many of my mentors and supervisors would tell me, dress for your next position. Dress for success, basically. Dress for your next position. Well, the dress code here at work is
Business casual.
We can wear jeans. How am I supposed to dress for the next? I'm not coming to work all in a suit and everything. But I understood what she meant, because you have to see yourself in that higher position or that higher role or that more evolved version of yourself in order for you to get there. Because if you don't believe it in here, nobody else is going to believe it out here.
Yep.
That is a really good one.
That's really deep.
It was very deep. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
for
guys.
joining us on episode 2 of season 3.
This was a long one.
It was a long one, but that's okay. I will edit some out. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. It is long.
It's 2 hours long. Shit.
It won't be when I post it, I promise. Yeah, because we had a lot of bloopers in there. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on the next one of Chats con Sabor.
Adios.
Adios, amigos.